The reason I'm popping in is because I've just been thinking about something over the past few days. I have been talking to a lot of people on the phone and on Zoom who are curious about Reclaim, and were curious about Reclaim, I should say, which because applications close tonight. And I've seen a theme come up, and I really think it's important to talk about this. So I titled this, "You Are Not Your Symptoms." And so here's what happens. I would say more often than not, I was going to say really the majority of the time, when I get on the phone with someone who's interested in working with me, the very first thing that they talk about is their symptoms. So they want to know, how do I get rid of this? And what I think the problem with that is when we focus entirely on our symptoms. And I get it. I mean, my candida symptoms were really, really awful. And I was in that place. That was all I could think about, because when you're suffering and when you have really horrible symptoms that are debilitating and interfere with living your life, that is the thing that's top of mind so often, right? And it's very difficult to get out of that mindset. But here's the problem with that. And it's that we begin to identify so much with the symptoms that we become the symptoms. And our entire identity is wrapped up with what's wrong with us. And, the reason this happens is because our brain is a very efficient machine, right? And so your brain, if you've heard the expression, you get more of what you focus on, right? So your brain tends to always look for anything to corroborate or to validate what you're thinking, because it wants you to be right. It wants confirmation. It wants security. It wants something to be true and real. And so we're always looking for things that will then validate what we already think. So if we're thinking about how sick we are all the time, we're going to find more evidence for how sick we are. And that's only going to perpetuate the cycle of illness. If you think about it this way, think about when you learned a new word. I remember this used to happen to me all the time in university, right? You learn a new word and suddenly you see that word everywhere you look, right? Or if maybe you just discover a new singer and then suddenly you start hearing their songs on the radio all the time. Or you are looking for a dog trainer and then suddenly on Facebook you get all these ads for dog training. No, wait. That's just Facebook's sneaky algorithm. They're spying on you. But that actually happened to us all the time. That's not quite the same thing. But your brain is actually a better machine than Facebook's computers. So if you are thinking about something and you are obsessed with something, your mind is going to draw that to you. And so I don't want you to be constantly drawing more illness to you, because that's not the way out of this, right? And so what I'm going to suggest is, no matter how bad it is, I know those of you who are dealing with symptoms, whether it's candida or something else, if you have debilitating symptoms and you have symptoms that are interfering with your day-to-day living, I know you're looking for solutions and you're doing things to get better, right? So when I was dealing with a rash from here to here, and literally this thing was itchy, it hurt, it was blistering, it was gross, it was oozing, it was disgusting. I had sinus infections, I felt weak, I had foggy thinking, I had athlete's foot, I had a fungal infection on my tongue, I had everything. And when all I could think about was how awful that was, it left me a prisoner in my own home. I couldn't do anything about it. So I know how it can take over your thought processes, but what I'm saying is you need to make the effort to start focusing on something else, because that's what's going to bring you out of that morass of symptoms. So there's always something positive that you can focus on. Even for me, when I was at home most of the day and I was, it took me probably, I'm going to say like every couple of hours, I had to put these compresses on my chest and I had to cleanse it and I had to put creams on it. I really couldn't go out of the house for any length of time. And yet I still would spend time with my dog, because my dogs at the time, it was dogs, I guess, bring me happiness. And I also know that patting a dog can lower your blood pressure and can increase your immunity. So I sometimes would sit with my dog on the floor and just pat her for like an hour. That was something I was able to do that was positive in my life at the time. And there's always something positive. You can look out the window at the beautiful blue sky on a day when it's sunny and clear and see how gorgeous nature is. Right now, the leaves are turning colors outside my window. So if I'm feeling down, I can just go look at the gorgeous colors of nature. It doesn't have to mean that you're suddenly back to your old self 100% and you're able to do all the things you used to do, but you can still find something to just jog your mind out of the total and constant negativity. And I think that is incredibly important in your healing, because none of us gets better, none of us begins to heal until we start to change that negative brain chemistry that's going on, where all we can think about are our symptoms. So of course, continue to do everything you can. But what I'm saying is take a moment today, take a moment every day to try to find something positive that you can focus on so that you can pull yourself out of that mental swamp that is keeping you so negative and is actually contributing to those symptoms, not potentially contributing to the symptoms not improving. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope it helps. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of. Even the smallest little positive thing, I want to know. Put it in the comments and tell me, ask your questions. I always come back and we'll look at this and see what it was that you had to say. And I love to hear from you guys. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you a little bit of positivity in your day today, because it can move on from feeling like your entire life and your entire mind is consumed with your symptoms. It does not have to be that way. All right, everybody, have a great Monday. Have a great week.